Hi, and welcome to another Tabletop Talk and Draw. My name is Storn Cook, and today we're drawing a character named Captain Gale. Captain Meloi Gale from a series of books by Patrick Samphire. The first book is called Shadow of a Dead God. I will certainly have a link to that. I don't do this very often, draw characters just for the sake of drawing them from books, unless I'm paid to. But I really enjoyed Patrick Samphire's novels. I think they're hilarious. And I wanted to do this supporting cast character. So the main character is Mennick Thorne. He is a mage and a private detective, and sort of smashing together, noir and detective noir and fantasy. And I love it. It's great. He gets knocked out all the time. It's fun that Samphire kind of leans into that trope. Captain Meloi Gale is a supporting cast member who's part of the Ash Guard, and they are the people in charge of regulating and maintaining order among all the mages of the city. And there are many, and mages are very powerful. But there's an ash that they ground up, or they manufacture, that is immune to magic and can stop magic, and their their headquarters is encased in the stuff, and so that's why she has a pouch, so she can reach into that pouch and get some magic. So there's a something about the world that I wanted to incorporate onto the character right away. And even if you don't know what that pouch is or what it's for, it's still an element that says something about her character. Even if you don't know exactly the details, you know that she has a pouch. And because it's the city that the novels take place is called Agathos, and it's very much a very hot climate. It's on sort of like the tail end of a river and a peninsula, and sort of reminds me of maybe like Naples or something like that in terms of its where it would be located geographically. So it's very hot in the summertime. It seems like it's always summer. So I wanted clothes that were loose and baggy and light, light in both texture and light in their color. But I also needed Captain Gale to have sort of a uniform, right? And so I thought a lot about like how to convey that. And one of the things I grabbed was sort of like, kind of came up with spats, from that's on the legs there, from like almost a Revolutionary War kind of look. And that's the fun thing about working in fantasy, right? Because I get to switch and change up epochs as much as I want to, and because I get to determine all this. I didn't have anyone sitting over me going, you got to do it this way. The description of Gale I found in the third book, which is actually a little novella, is that she's fairly short, she's very muscular, and she has sort of olive skin. So that's all I have to go on, and that's enough. Luckily I've been doing this for a while, and I can, hopefully it's enough. Hopefully, if Patrick Samphire saw this, he would like the depiction. Maybe I'll send it to him and see if he likes it. So yeah, I thinking about the character, I really wanted to have a martial civil servant uniform that still felt kind of light. So I was thinking a little bit about Indian. East Indian outfits and how they're formed and stuff like that, and can I cross-pollinate that with sort of a martial look. And one of the nice things about working on a ground is you get to sort of get highlights that pop really quickly. Although working in gouache, and that's what I'm working with here, does dry like darker, and you'll see me continually try to pop the highlights. And when I go digital, and I'll do a little bit of digital touch-up, or a lot of digital touch-up, because I really screw up at the very end on my signature. It's pretty funny. Doing a little bit of digital touch-up, I kept popping the highlights. I kept reworking those and making them lighter and lighter and lighter. It's part of the process, because whenever you put one color next to another color, that color changes. So it's a constant, renegotiation of form and color and stuff like that. She has a little star shape, kind of in the sort of the pauldron area. Excuse me. A sigil or an insignia, and I thought, maybe that denotes her rank, or maybe that's the sigil for the Ashguard themselves. I don't think it really matters, but it's important that she has a sigil. I mean, I think, a lot of times in fantasy we have, people with tattoos and stuff like that, and they say something about the character. What a character wears and what a character carries and what's on their clothes is as important in saying something about that character as a tattoo is. And this is all information that the viewer absorbs without even realizing it extremely quickly. So, yeah, that's stuff that I'm constantly thinking about, and I think this is where there's a lot of crossover between drawing for role-playing games, or even creating role-playing game characters, and drawing a literary character. I mean, characters are characters. People are people. So whenever you can kind of think about what makes them tick, and like her stance is very martial. The arms behind the back. That's something I don't do very often. I was once told by an art director that the three places an art director looks at are feet, our hands, and then the face, or the face first, really, but then hands and feet. So if you cut those hands and feet off, they think you can't draw them, and hands are hard. So being able to draw a hand is shows that you can draw. But I felt in this case I've drawn enough hands. I've proven to art directors that I can draw hands, and the pose works for the character. I'm not trying to hide the hands. I'm actually trying to say something about the character. So yeah, a lot of sort of working on a lot of blues onto the tans in the sort of the shadow area. Letting the yellow of the paper, or the brown of the paper, the warm tones of the paper be in the light areas. So yeah, we're getting close to getting her done. Fairly close. This at this point in the art, it's just a constant sort of touching up things, and you see me keep punching up the highlights. But when I scan it in, those highlights kind of disappear. The highlights actually look brighter here than they do when it scans in, and you'll see that. And that's why I went and then digitally worked on it some more. Yeah, just getting the sort of some of the little details here. I like working in gouache. It's very graphic paint. I like watercolor a lot. I love watercolor, actually, and I love oil. Acrylic's my least favorite, and I even like acrylic. I'm not saying I don't like acrylic. I do like acrylic. They all do different things, and they're all, but there's also similarities between all of them. I mean, you're applying color, and there's similarities in how you apply color digitally, and I think that dialogue is really important for when you're trying to learn how to do stuff digitally, is to play around with traditional mediums and stuff like that. And this was a paper that I found at Michael's when my wife was buying glass bottles. I picked it up on a whim because I like working on a ground, and so this is my first time working with it, and yeah, I like it. It's pretty nice. It held up to the watercolor and the gouache really well. The underpainting was done in a sort of, I use these Arteza brush pens that are watercolor, and then it was pencil, of course. And that's why there are stray pencil marks that you can't really see with your eye very easily. But when I scanned it in, oh boy, those really bothered me. There's a mark on her face that I don't like. Yeah, I'll talk about that more once I have it scanned in. But there's just a difference between looking at something traditional with your naked eye and then looking at a scan. And I have to remember, or I have to tell myself not to overwork something just because it doesn't look great digital. But On the other hand, if it's broken, fix it. You know, if you don't like it, yeah. So I'm darkening up the sort of the leggings there and putting a little texture in them. I don't want to call a lot of attention to that to the leggings because I really want the focus to be on the face. That's where the character is, but still, they need to read. They need to, you know, even if your eye just passes by them casually, you still need to be able to. It needs to look okay, even if I'm kind of dashing that in. So, let's see. I have a little bit more time left in the hand painted section. So, yeah, I don't really know quite what to add to this. Again, coming in with more highlights, and you know, I'm starting to use the gouache more as a watercolor and glaze it on there, and then it dries really quickly, and then I decided to darken up the sort of the tan sections of her tunic. One thing I love about acrylic is it's actually super, like, I find like I can do very fine details. I'm very accurate with the way the paint goes down. Something I sometimes struggle with oil and really struggle with acrylic is fighting the paint, they say. Yeah, and I have, you know, just having, and I did this all with one brush. I have this one sort of squirrel hair brush from Japan that goes to a very fine point, but I can also lay it flat and get it very broad and wide, so I can do large sections very quickly, but then I can just simply kind of go more vertical and lightly do thin lines, and I love being able to just have one brush and do a lot of stuff. And the nice thing about gouache, it's water soluble, so you know, I have a jar that has sort of these concentric spiral rings in it that you can brush the paint against, you know, fill it up with water and brush the paint against, and so it keeps it really clean. Here I mess up my signature. The very last thing, the N in Storn, I screw up. So I try to paint and match the color of the paper, which is really hard because gouache will, you know, like when I initially put it down, it looks great, and then it darkens up, and I'm like, yeah. So that was really annoying, and you'll see that in a few seconds when we switch over to the scan portion of our program. So let me take a break from talking about the art and characters and role-playing to, you know, ask for your help, and that is to please subscribe, please like this video, please share it with your friends, please leave some comments, because that's the kind of thing that keeps me going, keeps my juices flowing, and it means a lot to me, so thanks. So here's Captain Gale scanned in. You can see my screw up on my signature down there below. There's a big sort of ugly brown splotch. I tried to clean up some of the pencil lines around her arms and stuff like that, and that's pretty ugly. This is a good place for me to, you know, say and pause and ask you guys to please subscribe, please like these videos. It keeps my creative juices going. Love feedback, so that would be really helpful. So yeah, so this is the scan, and there's just difference between seeing something with your naked eye, and I'm you know, I forgive a lot of things with my naked eye that that when I scan it in I do not like, and so then I want to go back and clean it up, and it's probably a little meticulous and silly of me to get as nitpicky as I do, but I do. So now I'm laying in the first lines of the outline that I want to create, and the reason I do this is so then I can copy just her and separate her from the background, and that makes, you know, any kind of cleanup much easier. And just bear with me while I do this. And also, this was interesting, and this is one of the neat things about working digital and traditional, is that this outline actually became a graphic element. And I end up changing the hue of it. I change it from a light blue, just so I can see it really easily, to sort of a beige, a white beige that will pop her from the background a little bit, just a little, kind of halo, if you will. And I could have even pushed it further than I did. I could have feathered it and had it sort of glowy, but I didn't. I just kept. You can see I just sort of kept it. Now I have a break in the line, so I just fill that up, so I can select everything easily. There's another one up at top. Fill that one in here. Boom, it's done. And now I can just select what I want and put it on its own layer, and that's going to make, like I said, the cleanup really easy. Playing around with the border again. I keep changing my mind all the time. So I'm using the custom, not custom, the stamp tool here to sort of grab the texture of the paper, because I want to keep that texture uniform, and that way it reads okay, and it doesn't feel like I've tried to paint. So you can see me just sort of boom, boom, boom. Yep, getting a lot of texture in there, and then I use an airbrush and bring a little bit more light in. Remember, I was talking about punching those highlights up, and yeah, and there you go. Starting to, then I darken up the shadow, because I want that to get rid of that little black dot that drove me crazy when I saw that. I darken up the shadow because I want the focus to be around the face. And found some more little nitpicky things to do, and pretty much we're getting close to done. You can see, like, in her hair near her ear, the hair isn't completed. There's a red space, and in the original, seeing it with my naked eye, that's completely fine. Like, that doesn't bother me at all. But somehow when I'm this close to it, it really bothers me. So I go in and I tune those things up. I keep punching up the highlights a little bit here and there, get a little shadow, again, that was the demarcation between the red of the trim and the sort of olive skin tones. Red great in the original, and it doesn't read as great in the digital scan. So I wanted to address that and make sure that it's very, very specific. So, yep, there we go. I think I'm getting close to done here. Just a little shadow from her hair cast. I got two little white dots. But there you go. There's Captain Gale. So, I appreciate you guys, sticking on with me and going through this process of working traditional and digital combined in the same image. I'm save often. Although this program will automatically save it from time to time. I've set it to do that, but that's still should do that often. So there you go. Thank you very much, and keep on keeping on, and you guys have a great day.